Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today it's time to get into some serious business, knowing what is going on with this planet. Right now they are speaking of mega droughts that are literally cooking the earth, and they are the worst that they have been in 1200 years. Now, when you listen to that, that sounds frightening, but I want you to understand that it is what it is. What we do about it is going to make a difference in our own lives. I want you to take a listen at this report. It's going to give you some specifics on this drought that is the worst that it is, or it has been in 1200 years. That is frightening. Take a listen at this report and I will be right back.
The American West's megadrought deepened so much last year that it is now the driest in at least 1,200 years, and is a worst-case climate change scenario playing out live, a new study finds. A dramatic drying in 2021, about as dry as 2002, and one of the driest years ever recorded for the region, pushed the 22-year drought past the previous record holder for megadroughts in the late 1500s and shows no signs of easing in the near future, according to a study Monday in the journal Nature Climate Change. The study calculated that 42% of this megadrought can be attributed to human-caused climate change. Climate change is changing the baseline conditions toward a drier, gradually drier state in the West, and that means the worst-case scenario keeps getting worse, said study lead author Park Williams, a climate hydrologist at UCLA. This is right in line with what people were thinking of in the 1900s as a worst-case scenario. But today I think we need to be even preparing for conditions in the future that are far worse than this. Williams studied soil moisture levels in the west, a box that includes California, Wyoming, Utah, Nevada, Arizona, most of Oregon and Idaho, much of New Mexico, western Colorado, northern Mexico, and the southwest corners of Montana and Texas, using modern measurements and tree rings for estimates that go back to the year 800. That's about as far back as estimates can reliably go with tree rings. A few years ago, Williams studied the current drought and said it qualified as a lengthy and deep megadrought, and that the only worse one was in the 1500s. He figured the current drought wouldn't surpass that one because megadroughts tended to peter out after 20 years. And, he said, 2019 was a wet year, so it looked like the western drought might be coming to an end. But the region dried up in late 2020 and 2021. All of California was considered an official drought from mid-May until the end of 2021, and at least three-quarters of the state was at the highest two drought levels from June through Christmas, according to the U.S. Drought Monitor. For this drought to have just cranked up back to maximum drought intensity in late 2020 through 2021 is a quite emphatic statement by this 2000s drought, saying that we're nowhere close to the end, Williams said. This drought is now 5% drier than the old record from the 1500s, he said. The Drought Monitor says 55% of the U.S. West is in drought, with 13% experiencing the two highest drought levels. This megadrought really kicked off in 2002, one of the driest years ever, based on humidity and tree rings, Williams said. I was wondering if we'd ever see a year like 2002 again in my life, and in fact, we saw it 20 years later, within the same drought, Williams said. The drought levels in 2002 and 2021 were a statistical tie, though still behind 1580 for the worst single year. Climate change from the burning of fossil fuels is bringing hotter temperatures and increasing evaporation in the air, scientists say. Williams used 29 models to create a hypothetical world with no human-caused warming, then compared it to what happened in real life, the scientifically accepted way to check if an extreme weather event is due to climate change. He found that 42% of the drought conditions are directly from human-caused warming. Without climate change, he said, the megadrought would have ended early on because 2005 and 2006 would have been wet enough to break it. The study is an important wake-up call, said Jonathan Overpeck, Dean of Environment at the University of Michigan, who wasn't part of the study. Climate change is literally baking the water supply in forests of the Southwest, and it could get a whole lot worse if we don't halt climate change soon. Williams said there is a direct link between drought and heat and the increased wildfires that have been devastating the West for years. Fires need dry fuel that drought and heat promote. Eventually, this megadrought will end by sheer luck of a few good rainy years, Williams said. But then another one will start. Daniel Swain, a UCLA climate scientist who wasn't involved in the study, said climate change is likely to make megadrought a permanent feature of the climate of the Colorado River watershed during the 21st century.
Okay, so they were very thorough with breaking down what is happening with this drought that is the worst it has been in 1,200 years. The earth is literally being cooked in certain areas, certain regions. And people need to understand how this affects them. You know, sometimes people will have an attitude or thought that just because something isn't directly in their immediate area that they can't be affected by it. We have to understand that this earth is one solid earth, okay? When I mean solid, I'm not talking about the crust of the earth, because the majority of the earth is water. Okay, that being said, you have to understand that just because something is happening thousands of miles away from you doesn't mean that it cannot affect you. Okay, so when there's a drought, especially in a region that may produce food or other things, you're definitely going to be affected by it, because there may not be other areas that could pick up the slack for the things that are lost from this area or that area. Understand also that while droughts are happening in certain regions, you have other natural disasters that are happening in other regions, right? And so all of this, when you bring it all together, you're going to be affected one way or another. And over time, things are getting worse and worse. They have been talking about how certain weather patterns are getting more treacherous. More treacherous. We're starting to see these natural disasters get so seemingly out of control. And the reason why I say seemingly out of control, it seems like there is so catastrophic at times that things are out of control. But no, things are going the way that our Creator has planned them to go. And that is something that you need to pay attention to. The earth is groaning. The Bible talks about how the earth is groaning. Why is the earth groaning? We're seeing these volcanoes and earthquakes and droughts and wildfires and tornadoes and hurricanes, all kinds of natural disasters, flooding. Now, we've always seen those things, but they are saying that this stuff is getting worse, and we are starting to see it more and more. It is getting worse. Disasters that are so unimaginable, so unthinkable, that they are seemingly out of control. But they are not out of control. They only seem to be out of control. They are all in the control of our Creator. The Bible once prophesied, or it did prophesy, that the earth would be groaning. That is what we see happening. It's almost, if I can just put it in a term that we can understand, it's almost like the earth is fighting back from the damage that man has done or inflicted upon the earth. All of the sin that has been done upon the earth, all of the blood that has been spilled in the earth. It's almost as if the earth is fighting back. That's what we are looking at right now. I wanted to share this with you, not to bring fear, but for us to understand what it is we must do and determine how to navigate through all of this. Now, for me, I pray to the Most High and I ask Him to show us and reveal to us what it is we must do, because again, this stuff will affect everyone in some form or another. I'm done with this video. In the comment section below, remember to keep it tight and keep it right. But until next time. We hope you liked today's topic. Please leave your comments below. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, share it like this video, and with that, we're out. Be sure to ring the bell to be notified of new uploads on this channel, and also comment, share, like, and subscribe.